Hello you beautiful music producers, Zach Romes here from OpenEye Studios, and today I'm going to show you how to prep your song, your track, your session for a mixdown and why that's important and how it's going to help your songs become clearer, punchier, and overall more professional. There are two main aims to prepping our session. The first one is we want to organize, clean, color code everything so we can see everything as clear as possible. We don't want to have to listen to something to know what it is. We want to be able to just see it and know exactly what the instrument it is, where it should be, and everything like that. And the other thing we want to do is move from the production/composition phase and move into the mixing phase. And we do this by bouncing down every single instrument into a brand new audio track. Or in other words, we want to record what we have created into brand new audio tracks. This helps us move from that production/writing phase because we won't be able to go and change the chords or the leads. If there's a MIDI instrument, we can't just tap around and change things. It makes us commit to what we already have. The second reason we want to do this is because we're going to be adding EQs, compressors, and we probably already have a lot of effects on some of these instruments. So we don't want to be just adding more and more effects on top of it because it's going to be harder on our computer and our CPU. It's going to be a lot harder to tell which effect is doing what. So we basically just want to create the whole session nice and clean as if we're starting from scratch. Now for this lesson, I'm going to be using my own song that I wrote just last week. You're welcome to use it as well or follow along with your own track. If you do want to use this song, there is all the stems or the project linked in the video description below. And it's important to note that I'll be using Ableton Live, but this technique, this process can be used in any DAW. You can use Pro Tools, Logic, Reaper. You can use anything you want and you're still going to get the same effects, same process. This is a mixing technique that pretty much everyone uses, and throughout this course you're going to be able to apply this to any DAW. It doesn't matter. So enough with that, enough with the overview. Let's hop in and get prepping. Okay, so here's the song that we're going to be working on. It's sounding pretty good. I quite like it. It definitely can be punchier, definitely can have more oomph to it. So what we're going to do is let's get into prepping it for the mixdown that we will be doing in later lessons and later videos. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to go up to File and we're going to save live set as. We're going to make a new folder. The folder is going to be called Mixdown Projects. And this song's called Elitist Lies. We're going to put V0.1 and then bracket bounce down. And the reason we want to do this is because we're about to record all of the instruments into brand new tracks. If we make a mistake or there's something we don't like, we want to be able to go back, open up the session and grab whatever we want to change, whatever we want to do. It's just like a little bit of insurance. So that's done. Awesome. The next thing we want to do is, if you haven't already, you want to group everything and make everything organized as much as possible. Color code things. So for example, this is quite a tech house inspired song. The bass and the kick is quite important that they work together quite well. That's why I've grouped it together here. One other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make it red because I want this to basically, you want it so it's very easy to identify what is what. And now you can see here that this is turned off and not at any stage does it turn back on. So there's not much point having it. So let's cut that one out. And you're going to want to get rid of anything that you don't need. Okay, so go through. So I put all my percussion into the same group because we're most likely going to have the same effects on it. They're the same kind of instrument. You can see here that I put all my synths together and I group within groups. This is something you can do in Ableton, which is awesome. So the breakdown synthesizers, which are in this part, they're all in the same group. And I'm also going to give this the same color. So if you are doing this with your own song, go through now and just quickly group everything together, make everything nice and neat and the same color. This is an example of me not naming anything correctly. We've got a delayed guitar. So let's write that in there like that. Nice, and we've got something here. This is a perfect example of I have to listen to it to know what it is, which is very slow. Alright, so we've got a guitar solo. So let's put guitar solo. Amazing. We've got another MIDI channel here, not doing anything, so let's delete that. Another channel here with nothing, so let's delete that. We've got BV ideas. I actually am going to record vocals later, so I am going to leave that for now. Let's check the chords. Don't need the chords, so let's delete that. And you can see here I've got something called drop synth. So these are grouped together because they probably all sound the same, but we want them to be glued and compressed together so they sound awesome. Okay, so they can also have the same color. So everything is all set up. Let's hit save. And now we are ready for bouncing everything down. Everything in the session is looking clean, organized. And another reason you want to do this is because if someone else is working on the session or you hand over to a mixing engineer for a specific reason, you want him to be able to just grab the session and go. You don't want him to be looking through thinking, what the hell is this? What the hell is that? You want it to be very obvious what is what. Now, the next part of this process is a little bit tedious, but super important. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new audio track under every single instrument. You do that by pressing Command T if you're on a Mac. And we're going to call this the instrument name underscore bounced. So we've got kick, and now I'm calling it kick bounced. Here we've got BD, which means breakdown. I'm going to call that bounced. So this is a little bit tedious. I'm going to skip forward now. You guys do the same. Go through and name everything. All right, awesome. So everything is labeled, everything. We've got all these tracks here. Next thing we need to do is we need to route the audio correctly. So all we have to do is go to the track that we want to record and make sure it's going into the new track that we've created. So here I've got my kick and I want it to go into kick bounced. So I'm going to select that and then the record. Breakdown kick and breakdown bounce. Now, if your previous record arm is disappearing, what you can do is go up to your preferences. You can go to record warp launch and make sure that the exclusive is turned off. If I have it on, it means every time I click it, all of the other ones will disappear. So make sure that one is off. It just makes things a lot faster during this process. So now go through and just do the same. And I apologize, I know this is somewhat tedious. It's not the most fun part of the mixing process, but you got to think of it as adding a 1% to your mix. Like everything you want to do with your mix, you want to add 1% gain. And if you miss any of these steps, you kind of just are slowly shooting yourself in the foot. if that makes sense. I used to skip a lot of these steps. I just freeze flat, bounce down, not organize it correctly, not get it as set up as possible. And I noticed that as I started adding these 1% and actually making a few of these changes and really trying to take care of every little detail, my mix downs just improved slowly, just got better. Obviously, there were other skills that I improved at, but mainly it was just 1% being added everywhere. And another important thing to do is, you can see here that I've got this track labeled lead breakdown right. But I actually want to record it in the center so I can then make the decision later in the mixing process if it does need to be hard right. I've already labeled that I want it to go right and be pan right. So it doesn't matter if it is center, because as soon as I record it, I can just pan it right again. But if I do record it, then I can't do anything about it except use the utility. So for the sake of this, we're just going to leave it like that, put it back to the center, and we know that later on we might want to change that back to the right. Everything is good to go. So everything is labeled, everything is fed into their new tracks. Now all we have to do is sit back, go to the beginning of the song and hit record, and try not to touch it or do anything. Another thing you might want to do is just double check your preferences and make sure you've got 512 to 1024 samples selected. Now, if your computer starts wigging out and really struggling to process all of this, I recommend doing it by instruments at a time. So do the kick and bass together, and then all the percussion, then all the synths. It all depends how many plugins you're using, what your computer specs are, or anything like that. So if you start up and your computer is just melting, then I recommend just pausing and just clicking a few arms off until your computer can handle the load. And what we're going to do is we're just going to wait until it reaches the end, and then I'll check back in. All right, cool. So everything is bounced down, everything is ready. Now all we have to do is delete, yes, I said delete, all of the old tracks. So we're going to go through now, and I'm going to get rid of that kick. And basically all you want is to have the bounced files left over. And then we will be ready to start the mixing process. So go through and just delete. And remember, you've got a previous save. So if you've made a mistake or you're afraid to committing, don't worry, you've got a previous save. Another way, what you can do is actually hold down Command, and you can select tracks like that, and then cut it a lot quicker. So just press on the track you want, hold down Command, press on the next track you want, and continue the process until you get rid of all of the tracks you don't want. It can only work within groups, so you can't jump groups, unfortunately. Boom. And now we have this. The last thing you can do, if you really want to, but you do not have to do this, you can go in and you can cut away wherever the instrument is not playing. And this just makes it really easy to see. But this you don't have to do. This is, an extra, because you can. It doesn't really matter because we're doing the mixing process. So now the very last thing we're going to do is we're going to go live, save live set as. We're going to change it from version 0.1 to version 0.2, and we're going to call it, get rid of the pre and call it bounce down. We're going to just call it bounced. Boom. And the reason we do this is because now you can have a look at your folder. We've got version 0.1 pre-bounce down, version 0.2 bounced, and we're going to continue this process for the entire mixing process. So when we get to compression, we'll make it version 0.4 compression. When we get to EQ, it'll be, version 0.5 with EQ or whatever it is. And this means that each step of the way we can go back to the previous version if we make a mistake. And there's been so many times where I've gone, damn, I really don't like what I did. I've added way too much compression, and it's a lot quicker and easier to just open up a previous session rather than having to go and take all the compression off. So that is awesome. Now your project should look like this. Everything is got no effects on it, none of the sends, everything is at 0, everything's nice and clean, ready for us to come with a mixing mindset, ready to mix it down, and there's nothing getting in our way, and we can see exactly what's being played. There's no automation lanes that we might accidentally overwrite. Everything is just pure, lovely audio. So that is all ready for the next process, which will be covered in the next video. The next video is going to cover clip gain and gain staging and why clip gain is so important. This is something that I never used to do, but it has made such a difference with my music. So that's all for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. And if you would like any more lessons or any tutorials, then check out openeyestudios.com.au, where we are based in Melbourne, but we do online teaching as well, full of music production, music theory, DJing, everything music related, basically. Good luck producing, good luck mixing down. This was the first video of a series, which is all about mixing down your music. So stay tuned, make sure you hit the alert so you can find out when the next one comes out. And again, thank you so much for watching. Much love. Peace.